Welcome back to Memaw's house. You know, if there's one thing that we like at our house, is sweets. We love a good dessert. I try to only do desserts one time a week. You know, that doesn't go over too well, but you know, we do cookies and that kind of stuff, but a big dessert, maybe one time a week. I have a family who like cake. They love a good pound cake. But even as much as a pound cake they love a good cheesecake. So today, guess what we're baking? A cheesecake. So come on, I'm gonna put my apron on and we're gonna go bake a cheesecake. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Try to stay to the end if you don't mind. And we'll see the taste testers do a little taste testing, all right? Hold on a minute, let me get my apron on. Okay, of course, you know with a cheesecake, there are two parts. There is actually three. You have a crust, you have the filling, and you have a topping if you like a topping. So for your crust, we want 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. You need about 10 to 12 graham crackers to make the crumbs enough for 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. Then 5 to 6 tablespoons of butter. Mine happens to be soft, but I'm going to melt it in a minute. 2 tablespoons of sugar, which I've added into this bowl of sugar that I'm going to make sure gets into my cream cheese portion. And then 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. That's all you need for the crust. And I'll put those ingredients on the screen. For the filling, you will need 32 ounces or 4 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese at room temperature, 2 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of packed lemon zest from 1 lemon, and then 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 6 eggs, at room temperature, 1/2 cup of sour cream at room temperature, and then a springform pan. I also have a large pan that I'm going to put water in for a hot water bath. So let's get to cooking. We'll start this process by making our crust. I'm just emptying all those graham crackers into a Ziploc bag so that I can hammer it out with my rolling pin. Now, if you don't have a food processor, or in this case, I don't feel like pulling out the food processor, you can do it old school and hammer it out with a rolling pin. I just kind of make them crumbly and then roll it out to make them a fine crumb. And besides, this way you can take out any frustrations you have on those graham crackers. Now I've melted my butter, and I'll simply add the crumbs and the 2 tablespoons of sugar to the bowl and mix it thoroughly. Now that all the ingredients have been combined, I'm simply going to add them to my springform pan. I'm going to press them into the bottom and up the sides of the pan. You may have noticed that I have parchment paper that I have placed on the bottom of the pan. I actually have it trapped between the sides of the pan and the bottom because you know a springform pan has the sides and then the bottom comes up to meet the sides, and I just trapped my parchment paper to keep anything from leaking in that springform pan. Now I'm going to place my crust into a 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes so that it can crisp up. In the meanwhile, I'm going to zest and juice my lemon and get the rest of my ingredients set up. Okay, so the crust is now done, and we'll let this sit and cool. And I'll clean up my mess. Okay, it's time to start preparing the filling. We'll start with the 4 blocks of cream cheese. We'll whip those for a little bit until they get nice and fluffy. You know, I have to clean all of my stuff off, the butter paper and the cream cheese paper. Does anybody else do that, or is that just my little pet peeve? This is the reason that I bring my ingredients to room temperature, because cold items don't whip up and increase volume as well as items that are set out at room temperature. So if we want to incorporate air into any of our ingredients like eggs or anything, it is best to have them at room temperature. Now let's add our eggs, and you know what I do. I'm going to crack them into a separate bowl and add them one at a time. Before I add the eggs, I'm going to put in the sugar and the flour and let it incorporate well into the cream cheese. Yeah, I forgot the salt, so I'm going to add my 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Now it's time to add the lemon juice, zest, and the vanilla. You know I have my little sous chef, Ariana, over in the sidebar helping me out a little bit. She's a great little sous chef, and I think she's learning a lot just by sitting at my right hand and watching me scoop stuff into the dish. As I put in this sour cream, the 1/2 cup of sour cream, into the mixture. Now it's time to add the eggs. I'm leaving about an inch head space in my pan because this is going to rise up pretty well. It's almost souffle-like. If you like your cheesecake a little bit more dense and not as fluffy, Don't beat it as much with the eggs. You just include all of your eggs and mix it in one good time. Okay. Now this goes into a 325-degree oven, and it will bake for about an hour and a half. I'll set my timer for 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I'll check it at the hour 15-minute mark. Because we had a good amount of filling left over, we decided to go ahead and make individual cheesecake cups. And my sous chef is getting her hands in there and getting it done. I try to let them get their hands into the kitchen as often as I can because they need the practice. Okay, y'all, so the mini cheesecakes are done. They don't have as long a cooking time as the whole cheesecake does. So you know who's here. My taste testers. I have made some strawberry syrup. It's just strawberries in their own syrup to taste on their little mini cheesecakes. So let's get our taste testers tasting. Good, thank you.
Yummy. I like strawberries.
Do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Aubrey likes it. She's my original taste tester. No, I take that back. Joy was my original taste tester, her mama.
It's the lemony and the strawberry adds tart to and it's really sweet. And then the crust gives it a crunch, so.
Oh, you had 2 bites. Well, thank you. Okay, y'all, so you heard my taste tester. Those individual cheesecakes are delicious. So we'll wait for the big cheesecake to come out. It has about 15 or 20 more minutes before it's done. And then I'll show you what that looks like. In the meanwhile, here is a look at the finished strawberry individual cheesecakes. Okay, so the big cheesecake is done. Let us go ahead and pull this out of the oven and we'll let it sit in the pan for a few minutes and cool down a little bit more before we try to take it out of the pan. In order to check for doneness, I touch the top to make sure that it's not very soft, but I also check to make sure that it jiggles. A good cheesecake always has a jiggle. Okay, y'all, so all the cheesecakes are done, and I've made a slice for Memaw. I actually had to let the cheesecake cool, go in the refrigerator and get cold. And I made some blueberry sauce for him because that was his preference. And I hope that you all enjoyed this video because I enjoyed making it. In the meanwhile, y'all be blessed. Bye.